everyone, welcome back to the Wii Studio, and today I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be talking all about The Chosen. This is a YouTube show. You can check it out. I'll link their YouTube channel in the description. We're going to be talking about Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and 3, and I'm here with my dad, Paul. Thanks for joining me.
Hey.
So, this is the first time that we're covering something non-superhero related. Very different topic. But we were going to record a review of episode 1, but we couldn't do it in time, and then 2 and 3 aired, so we're just doing all 3 of them at once. And I gotta say, I was pretty excited for this show to come back. It's been a while since we've had it, and I think that it's done a good job of showing, like, the disciples specifically. I think is my favorite part of it, and seeing how they interact with each other. So overall, what did you think of the show returning?
Yeah, I love it. I really do. It's neat to see the interaction between the disciples. They're the chosen ones. Jesus has picked them, and they're an odd bunch, really. And it's really, it's fun and touching all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're just going to break down these first 3 episodes. I think these are a pretty good batch, specifically. I think that, in my opinion, I think starting with episode 2, they decided to, like, slow down a little bit, because I think episode 1 was a little bit confusing at the start, like, what is going on, because it kind of started off a little bit fast-paced, but I think that they're kind of, like, slowing down, because they want this to go on for a while, and I think this season has 8 or 9 episodes, so... Okay, so we're going to start with episode 1. So we kind of start out with John the disciple is interviewing Jesus' disciples.
Yeah, so it's a flash forward to the time that John is putting together the Gospel of John. And so he's interviewing all the disciples, assuming this is taking place post crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension. So Jesus is gone, and now John feels like he wants to tell the story. And so he's interviewing. It's pretty cool.
So I have a question for you. When do you think, like, the flash forward would, like, take place?
I'm assuming it's after Jesus is ascended to heaven.
I mean, do you think it'll be like what do you think will be this season or like in the future?
A big way in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. Again, it's hard. We don't know how many seasons this show is going to be, so there's really no way of knowing when we'll get there, or if they'll ever show this again. That scene.
And like they've been following scriptures pretty well, but
well, it's not in order. They're a little all over the place, which is kind of neat. You never really know what's going to happen next. But all the stories are inspired by something in the scriptures.
Yeah, I don't think they need to go in order necessarily, because they're not telling like a Bible. They're not like doing like, we're not watching like a Bible or watching like a show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think I need to like go in order and follow exactly what it is, because it's very different, because like the Bible only touched on the basic things, like the disciples interacted with each other, and it's pretty cool that we get to see it play out on screen, because a lot of the Bible feels like just a lot of names being listed and not much else. So it's nice that we get to see it play out on screen. But I was able to get this guy's name who, well, James and John like are working in the fields, and this guy's like the owner of this land.
Melech, maybe?
Melech, I guess, I don't know. And Jesus is like trying to heal him, and there's this powerful moment where they're all sitting by the fire, and this guy's family is there too, and they just kind of talks out with him.
Yeah, so Melech kind of shares his background, that he did some bad things. He was very vulnerable. It was a very powerful scene, and then the next day, he's healed. Jesus healed him, so he's able to walk. So he has some sort of infirmary, lame in some way, and isn't able to farm the field. So Jesus asked James and John to do the farming of the field, and they feel pretty good about it, you know.
Yeah, I also think it's cool how this show's doing healing. Like, you know, I mean, it's just so different than like what the Bible covered. The Bible, of course, covered who Jesus healed, all that kind of stuff. It just actually seeing it play out on screen in a satisfying way, I think, is a totally different and good feel.
Yes.
Because like this Melech guy, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever see him again now that he's healed, but maybe in the future. But I think it's cool that like we're like visiting different people, and they all have different backgrounds, and Jesus is able to heal heal them. I think that that's pretty cool, especially because he kind of had a bad temper at the start, and then Jesus was able to use his, use his use his powers to heal this guy. I think that it's really cool to see that play out on screen because it's telling a story and it's telling what we knew Jesus did. He heal a lot of people, so I think that's pretty cool to see it play out on screen. But Jesus calls out James and John for not liking certain people of other groups. So like, there's like this whole thing like, and like obviously there's like rivalries between like the Romans. It's like the Romans and these disciples is like versus each, well, not versus each other. It just they're on opposite sides. And like James and John get mad at them, but Jesus, instead of like agreeing and like being mad at them, he says that they need to like toughen up, and just because some people like spit at you or throw rocks at you, you're going to be dealing with a lot of that in life, and you have to learn how to deal with it. So what did you think of that?
Yeah, and this is where they get the nickname Sons of Thunder, and that's from Scripture, and so that's kind of cool to see how that is. So Jesus is challenging their anger issues. Really, they're very volatile guys, brothers. Yeah.
And like the episode is actually titled Thunder.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what the name of the episode was. That's cool.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool to see. And like, we don't know much about James and John either. Like, they've kind of just been like around. So I think it is pretty cool to see. Season 2, episode 2 is titled I Saw You. And this one's more focusing on like Matthew as well as the arrival of Philip, who in my opinion kind of looks like Jesus a little bit.
Yeah, the character does.
Yeah.
What before we jump to episode 2, what grade did you get episode 1?
Episode 1, I give it a solid A.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right, so in episode 2, it's the story of Philip arriving. Philip was a disciple of John the Baptist, and John the Baptist had sent him to Jesus, saying he's the one. And so Philip is kind of the experienced one out of the group. He has experience because of his journey with John the Baptist. And Philip has a friend named Nathaniel. And Nathaniel's journey is a part of this episode. Nathaniel is an architect, and his big project ends up being a disaster. And his life is ruined. He lost his job, and he sits underneath the fig tree, and he burns the plans for the building, the picture that he drew of the building, the plans. And then at the ending of this episode, we see Philip introducing Nathaniel to Jesus. And that was an incredibly powerful, moving scene, and that comes right from the Gospel of John.
Another healing moment, because we saw that Nathaniel was really struggling under that tree, was like struggling with his emotions and everything, and to see Philip introduce him to Jesus is like yet another powerful moment and really good ending to the thing. But Matthew has also been bonding, and Andrew kind of started to include Matthew in the group a little bit more. He seems to like Matthew a little bit. I mean, they obviously, I think most all of them have a problem with Matthew, as we kind of see in episode 3. But Andrew seems to try to be accepting of Matthew a little bit more because Simon is not like Matthew.
Right.
And like Matthew has been starting to make some friends like Mary, Magdalene, and Rama, and they're going to study
Scripture.
Yeah.
And so they're going to study the Scriptures, and so those three are kind of bonding together there.
And then Thomas kind of questions it, and there's some tension between Thomas and Rama, more in episode 2 towards the ending.
I don't know really what's going on there. So
I mean, did you notice
something? But I have an inkling.
I mean, they're husband and wife.
Are they?
I'm assuming they are.
I'm not sure about that. I think I think they're partners, business partners in the wine thing. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I would kind of want some clarification on if they're husband and wife or if they're business partners. I don't know. I mean, from the wedding, I assumed like they were husband and wife. I just assumed. Was there anything about it like that in like Scripture? Do you remember?
No, it doesn't have those characters. I mean, I don't remember Thomas being associated with the wine thing in Cana, so I don't think so. I think this is just the writers kind of drawing some lines and connecting some things, and I don't know her if she's in there at all.
Yeah, Thaddeus, Matthew's also bonding with, and they have the scene under the tree until Simon comes in and interrupts.
Okay.
But like Matthew's like writing some stuff down. He definitely seems like kind of suspicious, but I think he's autistic.
Hmm.
We kind of know that. And we kind of Jesus kind of gives Simon the advice to start to accept Matthew more, but as we see in episode 3, that can't really work.
Right.
But like you said, at the end we kind of see that Philip invites Nathaniel to go see Jesus, and that's the ending. So then that leads to episode 3, which is titled, I'm pretty sure, Matthew 4:24, and this is kind of like they're all sharing their like stories around a fire, and that's pretty much how the episode takes place. So they all kind of get their moments. I don't remember all their moments, but everyone they kind of talked about like. For instance, like their fears over the Romans, and like once someone shares, I think it was like Rama, how they had like a knife under their bed because they were scared of the Romans. So there was at this one point, and think that there still are because it's disciples kind of like against Romans. They have this fear of the Romans and think they're going to come attack them. I think that was interesting to see everyone's opinions on them. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The Romans occupy the Jerusalem, the
Mm-hmm.
whole area where these people are from, and Galilee and all those areas. And so they're the enemies. And so they naturally think that Jesus, the Messiah, is going to defeat the Romans. That's their expectation. And so there's a lot of dialogue about they can't wait for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mary, Jesus' mom, Mary, is also present.
Yes.
So she's involved here. And she was also in episode 1 talking with John.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how often she'll be in here, but she also, is involved here. So and Andrew also gets some line, I don't really remember, but like, do you think, because like Simon and Andrew are brothers, correct?
Hmm.
So like, do you like seeing like Andrew get some more screen time?
Sure. Yeah.
But Simon's kind of, I mean, he calls out Matthew for being a traitor. And I think this is an instance where shows that Simon and Matthew both have sinned. Matthew, he decided to go to the Romans. And of course, like, that's technically being a traitor. I mean,
Yeah. So Matthew was a tax collector. He chose to work for the Romans, which made him a traitor. And all the disciples, uh, for the most part, dislike him. And there's a lot of tension there. And Simon just goes off on him and says, I'll never forgive you.
hmm
It's,
yeah.
it's crazy stuff.
And like, I mean, Jesus is all about forgiveness. Um, and I think that Simon, he's kind of being like a hothead, you could call it. But I do kind of understand where he's coming from because like Matthew wasn't in the right either, but Simon's also sinned before.
Right.
So I think that he thinks that he's kind of right about everything, and he wants to be Jesus's like main like assistant, kind of is what he's trying to say. And I mean, it's kind of hard for him because Jesus accepted Matthew into the group and decided to like forgive him and like heal him in a way, so like Matthew can try to put that past behind him, but like they still can't. No one can forgive him for that because it's such like a cruel thing, and that's still just gonna kind of be like built up inside of them forever.
Hmm.
But did you think Simon was overreacting or?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it shows the cultural kind of stuff going on, how much tax collectors were hated. And they all pretty much ganged up on him. A couple of them tried to defend Matthew a little bit, but it was pretty much everybody had that anger towards Matthew, and he felt sorry for Matthew because that's in his past. He left that to follow Jesus. So, and all of the disciples has made mistakes in the past, and they're set free from that. And so, as Jesus, I imagine, will kind of communicate to them over a period of time, is that they're all been set free from their past, and now they can live the life of love that they were created to live.
And like I mean, obviously, like they all have their mistakes. Otherwise, they wouldn't. I mean, it's back that otherwise they wouldn't be there.
Hmm.
Jesus wouldn't have taken them in if they didn't make mistakes, because that's the whole point, is to heal someone and to invite them into their group. So obviously they've all made mistakes. I mean, I don't know Matthew's mistake compared to others, but
Right.
I mean,
Well, and I don't think there's not ranking of sins. There's not like one sin's worse than another sin
mhm,
in the eyes of God. I mean, it's going against the will of God. So they're all in the same boat.
mhm,
But Simon seems to elevate Matthew's sin greater than his own.
Yeah, and like I just don't. I mean, I just what I'm saying is that Matthew, I don't think like he shouldn't be the only. I just kind of feel bad that he's like the only one being targeted now
Yep,
with his
absolutely.
sin. So I do feel bad for him. I mean, like I think I'm like I mean, I think that Simon has showed his anger towards Matthew. I think that maybe eventually they'll all move on. I just think it's like a overtime thing because at the end Jesus arrives and they all kind of like, you
Yeah,
know,
well, that was really interesting. A very touching scene. Jesus had spent all day healing people. I mean, the lines and lines and lines and lines of people, hundreds of people, and Jesus healed them one by one. And at the end of the day, he comes kind of stumbling to the campfire, exhausted and in pain and agony, and he's moaning. And so he just says, "I'm going to bed." And he goes to bed, and Mary, his mom, goes over and washes his feet and kind of wipes the blood off of his face, and you can just tell he's exhausted. And she tucks him in, and all of the disciples kind of feel bad for being selfish and focusing upon their own stuff and targeting Matthew, especially them being followers of Jesus, and Jesus is healing all these people. It kind of makes a big statement there, and I think they all kind of realize that they made some mistakes.
yeah. I think what like I don't. I think that Jesus again wants them to forgive. Will want them to forgive Matthew over time. I think it made them realize that Jesus is the one who they went to. I mean, Jesus invited them in, but they're the ones who made this commitment to value him, and they're not valuing him
No.
really. So like they're going against his wishes. So it's like, I mean, a few people have tried to defend Matthew, but they're not being faithful really to Jesus by ganging up on Matthew. And unfortunately, Matthew doesn't have very many defenders. So
Right. Right.
and he's quiet, so he doesn't necessarily know how to defend himself either.
Right.
I mean, maybe eventually he'll call like Simon out for something. I
Well,
don't know, but I don't think.
it'll be interesting. It definitely bring tension throughout this series, I think. So
Yeah. So, so episodes 2 and 3. Episode 2, I give it an A plus on it. So I think I liked it more than episode 1. And episode 3, I also give it an A plus.
yeah, I would agree with you on both of those. And I really think all 3 episodes have been very well done. It's great to see this kind of stuff in a visual and in a series, and look forward to the next episode. I tend to be pretty critical of the Jesus type shows and movies and stuff, but this is really good. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that we have this show right now. I think that it's really needed. In episode 4, I'm sure will come out next week sometime, or maybe the week after. They did release 2 episodes, which I think was really cool of them to do. But maybe not all of maybe not all people got to watch episode 3 because they assumed it was over. I mean,
It was shorter too.
Yeah, episode 3 wasn't even like like on YouTube. Like it just was like and 3 question mark. So like most people, because they don't see like the Chosen Global live stream season 2 episode 3, they just won't know that there's an episode.
Right.
Especially older people. Anyways, that's kind of it for our reviews. So we'll be back. We'll probably do wait a few more episodes because they might release like a little more. We'll just have to wait and see, but we'll definitely have more reviews of season 2 to come.
That's right.
So anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching my studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you never miss the video. Thanks everyone for watching, and bye.
Bye.